For nearly 30 years, the National Hispanic Media Coalition has fought for more inclusive media industry for all Latinos. It has worked towards diversifying the media workforce and affordable access to open communications for all people of color.
We know that things have to change. We know very well that that is the key to a better world to our children. So we do it out of that conviction that this is the right thing to do, that we can make change happen if we dedicate ourselves to the principles of fairness, of justice, of democracy.
The coalition's most recent campaign has been about defending equality on the internet for all Americans. It's called Net Neutrality, and it is a critically important tool for Latinos and others who face discrimination in traditional media.
The open internet has allowed Americans to engage in our democracy at a whole new level. Dreamers, organizers of Black Lives Matter are all excellent examples of regular people who have harnessed the power of the open internet to disseminate their messages and engage in the political process. This is democracy and free speech at work, and it is a virtue deserving of the strongest protections.
What we're hoping to do is make sure that the FCC puts in place strong, legally sustainable, and enforceable rules to make sure that internet service providers can't discriminate or block certain content or services online, or set up fast lanes for folks who can afford them and slow lanes for the rest of us.
Last year, President Obama came out with a plan to preserve the internet, a plan similar to the coalition's. He urged the FCC, among other things, to develop new rules, to reclassify internet service providers as common carriers, which legal experts agree is the best way to protect consumer rights on the internet, and to open doors to make internet service more affordable for the millions of American Latinos who remain unconnected.
Whether you use a computer, phone, or tablet, internet providers have a legal obligation not to block or limit your access to a website.
In less than a week, the FCC will issue its long-awaited rules on net neutrality. No matter the outcome, the coalition will be there at the forefront of the issue. Meanwhile, there is another battle in which the coalition plays a heavy hand, freeing the airwaves of hate speech.
There's a surge in children without their parents illegally crossing from Central America into Texas.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of these kids are nothing more than fronts for drug dealers.
There were DJs, there were announcers, there were hosts, television hosts, who were coming out against Latino immigrants, the undocumented, that they were taking money away from this nation, they were taking jobs away from this nation, and it got very ugly.
The government spreads the illegal immigrants across the country, and the disease is spread across the country.
Communities will be treated as they are perceived, and a large part of the perception of communities and individuals is based on how they're portrayed in the media.
It is Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May, celebrating Mexican heritage and pride. It's also an excuse to drink tequila on a Monday morning at work.
At a time when this country should be developing its proud multicultural identity, instead, this dehumanization of women and people of color is normalized over the public airwaves.
There was assaults against Latinos, there were assaults against children, all because people felt that they could. And so we're not asking for regulation. We're asking to have a dialogue on what is hate speech, how does it affect us?
Across the country, a recent Justice Department report shows Latinos are the chief victims of ethnically motivated hate crime.
In response to that, and an alarming increase of hate crimes against other vulnerable communities in this country, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Edward Markey introduced companion bills in 2014, calling on the NTIA to update its outdated 1993 hate crimes report and examine the role of media in hate crimes. Although the bills did not pass, the lawmakers, the coalition, and many other civil rights organizations nationwide are paving the way to understanding the underpinnings of violent crime in this country.
It is important to us then that we change what is up on the screen, not only in terms of what you see in front of camera, but the stories that are out there about Latinos.
Despite making up 17% of the U.S. population and being the biggest media consumer in the nation, Latinos are still underrepresented in television and film. Recent data shows that Latinos make up only 4% of writers on television programs. The coalition also created its own television writers program, now in its 12th year.
We know that we have to have better models of Latinos up on the screen, better stories about Latinos up on the screens, so that in fact, we are looked upon as any other American. They're going to change the image of who we are.
It was my very first writers community. I was a very green writer when I started the program, and it was such an amazing opportunity because I learned everything. But I didn't know anything about structuring things and format. I was just throwing words down on pages. So it really helped to kind of hone me in and to focus me on areas where I was the strongest.
So far, 25% of the program's 120 alumni have been staffed on shows at major network and cable outlets, such as ABC Disney, NBC, CBS, Fox, Nickelodeon, CW, BET, LATV, VH1, and Nuvo TV.
The NHMC program and the material that I wrote there and the relationships that I built there helped me to get into the NBC Writers on the Verge Fellowship, which I did, because I feel like one of the biggest problems for writers of color is literally just access. Just if you don't know someone, it's hard to get into this industry. And these programs provide opportunities for writers of color to link up with executives, to link up with other writers so that they can kind of pull themselves out of this almost hidden space and get themselves on the radar.
The National Hispanic Media Coalition will continue to forge ahead with more conviction, now more than ever before, for a world in which media is more inclusive, equal, and just for Latinos and all people of color.
Cannot be like it was for my father and for many fathers of my generation, where they wanted all these things for their children and they couldn't get them. There have been tremendous changes just in my lifetime. I come from a generation that saw signs up and down the state of California that said no dogs and Mexicans allowed. So have we progressed from there? Yeah, of course. So am I hopeful? Yes, I'm hopeful. The people that are as committed to this high principle idea that we all deserve to be included in everything that is American.